I know you're gonna dig this.
This is Rhine McLin, host of the Funk Music Hall of Fame and Exhibition Center's award-winning show, Funk Chronicles, recorded live here at DATV Studios in Dayton, Ohio. Now, zooming in all the way from London, England, Skyler Jett, who is an award-winning Grammy recognized vocalist and one of the most sought-after singers, songwriter, and background vocal producers in the music industry. Skyler's impressive resume includes some of the biggest recording artists of our times, also music ambassador for global change. Welcome and thank you for agreeing to come on our show, Skyler Jett.
Bless you for inviting me. I'm excited. Thank you so much.
You know, Skyler, we're going to just start out with, how did you get interested? I want to just go back in the beginning of your life.
Yes.
How did you get interested in music? What age? How did you progress to where you are now? Tell us the story.
It's insane. I'm a single parent child. My mother, my grandmother, and my aunt were gospel vocalists. And then I had two uncles that were managers and promoters in music. So I was always in it the whole time, right? And I started performing at 10. I sang gospel music first, and then I started performing at 10. And then by 13, I was singing in nightclubs. And everybody else in the band was 21. So it was really cool. I'm the lead singer of a band of older people. It was really cool. But I started traveling, and you have to fall in love with it. It's something you have to give yourself to, music, right? And I bit the bug, and the rest is history.
So, Skyler, where were you born?
Oakland, California.
So, you know, let's start with Oakland, California, because you jumped right in, and since we're talking to you from London, England, somebody might think that that's where you've been all along. So, and that's possible. That's possible. However, let's go back to your roots in Oakland, California.
Okay, so like I said, I started playing nightclubs, and then by the time I was 18, I moved. Well, Oakland is we call it the funk capital of the world. You know what I mean? Some of the funkiest bands in the world.
You gotta watch
Sly
that.
and the Family. Huh?
You gotta watch that, because, you know, we think Dayton is the funk capital of the world.
Well, you got Sly and the Family Stone and Larry Graham. There's a style of playing funk. It's with your finger, right? Your thumb, right? That came from Larry Graham. That's Oakland, California. Although you had James Brown before that too, so they ain't just Dayton. But Sly and the Family Stone is probably the biggest funk band out of the Bay Area.
I'll pass on that. I'll let you have that. I'll let you have that, Skyler. Because, you know, we got to talk about the Ohio Players and Slave and Heatwave. Just for the sake of discussion,
were they there before Sly and the Family Stone?
And Larry Graham and the Drummond we'll do Oakland as the second funk capital of the world.
Okay, well, we beg to differ on that one, but that's all right. Funk is here to stay, right?
Absolutely. No matter what.
Yes, it is, and it's a genre of black music, and it's really wonderful. We have all the genres we have in jazz and different styles, right? Blues and stuff like that. This is a form of black music, and funk derived actually from that, right? The elders, even before Ohio players and all this, it was a style of playing, and it's rooted from emotion, right? And I mean, it's hard to stand still when some funk is going on. I know that for sure, right?
Yes, yes. So now that we have decided to have mutual ground, let's talk about Skyler in Oakland and your travels throughout to where you are today.
Okay, so playing nightclubs really, it blossomed my career as a teenager, playing in nightclubs every night, and then moving to I moved to New Jersey, and I came from the ghetto part of Oakland, and then I went to go live with all white people in New Jersey.
Oh, wow. How'd you get to New Jersey?
Well, what happened is there was a band I was playing there called Hot Ice. It was a funk band, but it was an integrated band. Back in that time, everybody was trying to integrate because Sly had white people in a funk band, right? That hadn't happened before. So, as a matter of fact, it got to a point in the Bay Area where you couldn't play if you didn't have an integrated funk band, right? And so those are the ones that were making money. But at the same time, what's beautiful is to watch that happen. Music is not just for somebody, it's for everybody. And I feel like whatever genre you love and you fall in love with, it's still the same 12 notes, whether it's from Bach to rock, right? All in between. And the great part is my mom used to make this dish called gumbo. And you got all these different spices and vegetables and carrots and that's what music is about. For me, what I love coming from Oakland is that we have bands like Tower Power, which are basically a white funk band, right, with horns, right? So, and then Santana. There's a lot of bands that came out of there, and then you had Journey, right? But we start putting it into funk and making this gumbo. And now it's all over the world, everywhere I travel, But I went to New Jersey. I started opening for Bruce Springsteen when I was 19 years old. And I didn't even know who this guy was. It was like, because everybody in New Jersey like, man, hey man, do you know you're opening for Bruce Springsteen? I said, who is that? Right? Who is this guy, right? And now he's the boss, right? And I knew he was going to be a star. Back then, we used to play this club called the Stone Pony in New Jersey. And it's right on the shore, Asbury Park, New Jersey, right? Oh. And I'm the only black guy in this band. It's a white band, but they love, hold on. This is a white band that fell in love with Tower of Power, a white band, funk band from Oakland. So they wanted to, mimic this band. So going back to a band I was in 13, there was a Jewish guy that played sax in our band. He was from New York. He come all the way out to Oakland. He's playing in our band. He's like 3 years older than me, right? And then he stayed a couple of years and he left. And he said, Skyler, I played with a band back home in New Jersey. Can we get you to come out? We're going to save up some money and get you to come out to be the front man for this band. And I went. But wait, hold on. This is really important. Ryan, you know how at a funeral, like the whole family comes over to eat and all that stuff like that, right? Where I lived like right around the corner from my grandmother, and something told me to go home. We all eating it over there from my uncles. My uncle died, and we're all eating it. Something said go home. Now I hadn't talked to this guy in about a year, And when I got back then, the telephones, they had the cord to it. so I could hear the phone ringing when I got close to my house, and I ran up the stairs, and it was that white guy, Eddie Krakauer. He said, "Skyler, we saved up enough money for you to come out to New Jersey and be the front man for my band." And I said, "Wow, man, this is crazy." And I went, and that's how we started opening for Bruce Springsteen. But from there, I moved back to the Bay Area. Then I went to Hollywood. Then I went to Canada. And then when I got to Hollywood, real true story. So in the 80s, all the way up to I moved to LA in 1980 from Oakland, right? And when I got there, it was a trip because at that time, even the Oakland Raiders, I know you guys know the Oakland Raiders over there in Ohio, but they moved to LA the same year that I moved there, and they won the Super Bowl. This is their first year in LA, right? But I got there and I met this guy who lied to me. He lied to me. He said, "Hey man, I'd love for you to come out, man, and be in my band. I'm in the Stone." I found out it was true later, but he played with the Stone City band. That was Rick James. He was the drummer for Rick James, but he was also the drummer for Marvin Gaye. So when I moved down there, I started driving a truck, for a stationery company, and I meet this brother playing basketball. And he said, "Man, I play with Marvin Gaye." And he had a key to Marvin Gaye's studio right down on Sunset Boulevard. So we go to Sunset Boulevard. He started playing me some tracks in the studio. At that time, Marvin was living in Belgium, right? And this is a true story. So he goes, "Skyler, I heard you sing and play congas and stuff like that. You want to go out with Marvin Gaye? You want to go on the road with us?" Right? I said, "Cool." So I didn't want to believe it, but then he brought me a contract from William Morris, right? And I was like, "Whoa, man!" So I'm making about $350 a week driving the truck then, but he brought me this contract with $900, right? That's a no-brainer. So I went and quit my job driving the truck because now I figured this guy got the keys to Marvin Gaye's studio. He asked me to play congas with Marvin, and then as soon as I quit that job, Marvin Gaye's father killed him.
Oh no!
That was that year, right? So I ain't got no job no more. And so then my ex-girlfriend leaves me. I'm getting evicted out of my house. No, it's really, really bad, right? But it was all a lie. It all happened with a lie. Because the guy, he told me he wrote this track, and he said, "Skyler, I want to write some lyrics to it." And I said, "Okay," right? And I did. And so there's this white guy shows up to the studio. And my buddy went to the bathroom that lied that said it was his music. He told me it was his music. This white guy goes, "Hey man, I really like the lyrics that I wrote." He said, "I really like the lyrics that you wrote, man. I was actually gonna give that song to A Taste of Honey." You remember them, Taste of Honey?
I remember A Taste of Honey.
Yeah, this song he was trying to give to them, right? It's the God's truth. So 2 weeks later, that guy called me. And he said, "Man, the Commodore's manager just died. And a friend of mine, Chuck Smiley, who was head of ABC television, is going to be the new manager for the Commodores, right? I want you to audition." I'm telling you God's truth. So remember, my girl left me. I'm getting evicted from my house, right? And the guy comes to he comes to my house. He comes to my house. And back then they had cassettes. So I'm playing.
Skyler, I still do.
Okay, I heard that. Well, listen. So my lights was already out because they already cut my lights off. My girl left me. I'm getting evicted tomorrow, right? And this guy comes by my house, and he goes, "What are you doing, man?" I said, "Well, I moved here from Oakland. and just I'm a songwriter, singer, songwriter, stuff like that. He said, my buddy says you're really good. Play your stuff. So I played it, and it's the God's truth. So at that time, I was going to go catch the bus from Studio City all the way out to Century City, where there was an audition for a play called Dream Girls, right? And so a buddy of mine who was Donna Summer's cousin, he said, Skyler, come out. We're going to audition for Dream Girls. And so I played the guy my music. I didn't have no power. I'm glad I had some batteries. I didn't want to tell him I was getting evicted, right? So next thing you know, he said, I like your sound, man. I'm gonna go back to my office in Century City, and I'm going to play this for the Commodores. He said, where you gonna be at? I said, well, I'm going to Century City too. I'm about to go catch the bus and go to Century City and audition for Dream Girls. He said, I'll drop you off. This is the guy, the Commodore's manager. Century City is probably about 50 miles from where I lived at, right? So then he gets me over there, and he drops me off, and I'm in a line with gotta be about 150 singers, male singers in this line. And I see my buddy with Donna Summer's cousin, and we're all telling jokes. So then they go, everybody that's with SAG and AFTRA, that's the vocal unions, right? I had no clue what that was. I had no clue. All I know is they said everybody with SAG and AFTRA, you guys come up front, which pushed us back even further.
Oh.
An hour into it, that guy ran back up there. He was breathing hard, talking about, hey, Skyler, I'm glad you're here, man. The Commodores want you to come to Alabama tonight. They're going to fly you in tonight. I'm going, what? And I'm around a bunch of guys, and they're like, what the hell are you doing in this line if you're going to audition for the Commodore, dude? Right? So next thing you know, I'm like, this is crazy, because I ain't got no money, right? And he goes, Skyler, he said, listen, I'm going to come pick you up at 8 o'clock. It was 4 then, right? I said, man, I'm sorry, man. I don't know if I'm being able to do it. And everybody in the line is standing in the line like, you crazy, dude. What's wrong with you, right? And so he said, here's $50, man. Catch a cab. I'm coming to pick you up at 6 o'clock. I said, okay. And I get back to my house, Ryan, and I'm staying in a cottage, like, a house in back of another house, right? In North Hollywood. And I'm walking the floor, and this is crazy. This is crazy. What do you mean I'm going to Alabama? Well, right? And my girl had left me, so she don't know this is happening. So next thing you know, the lady up front wants her rent. Now, here he is pulling into my driveway in a limousine. And this lady's going, what the hell? He's blocking my, who is that, right? I said, I was talking to a friend of mine. When he came into my house, he said, Skyler, cut some lights on. I said, man, I don't think I'm going to be able to go audition for the Commodores. He said, why, man? I said, because, man, my girl left me. Her furniture's here. I'm getting evicted tomorrow. He said, how much is your rent? I said, $500. He peeled me off $500. I went upstairs to the house and gave that old lady $500, and I got on a plane not knowing what the hell is going to happen, right? There was no cell phones back there, so I couldn't get in touch with my ex to tell her to come get your furniture tomorrow, right? And so next thing you know, I get to Alabama, and lo and behold, the Commodores own the Holiday Inn there in Tuskegee, Alabama, right? So I'm standing and I'm walking by my room. And each room I go by, somebody's singing Commodore songs. I say, man, the Commodore must be here. I didn't know it was a whole bunch of other singers auditioning. And so the next thing you know, you give me some tickets, say, man, we're going to come pick you up in the morning. And all of a sudden, and these brothers could sing, Ryan, like I wish I could sing. I thought it was the Commodores in there. That's how good they sound, right? I didn't even know the Commodore songs. So the next thing you know, we get over to the facility the next day, and it's okay. Who wants to go first? And one of these brothers would go in, and when they come out, I got this gig. I killed it. Every time they would do that. Now the guy goes, "Hey brother, don't you wanna go audition?" I say, "Man, I'm gonna tell you the truth. I really don't know the Commodore songs." And they all start laughing at me. Okay, so next thing you know, I kept going. You take that guy. Go ahead and take that guy. You take that guy, because I knew I didn't know the song. I was, and so it got down to me, and the brother came out. He said, "Listen, man, Commodores, they hungry. We gonna send all. You ready to go, brother?" They gave me a cassette player and the lyrics, and I went into a room and I started learning, mimicking Lionel Richie. I just see all them other brothers sang with all kind of licks, and they was my buddy Patty Austin. She called it vocal diarrhea, and they with licks all over the place. And so I listened to Lionel, and I saw that he wasn't doing no licks. He was just singing straight. Okay, so I went in there, and this is a true story because I proved it by Ronald. I'm gonna introduce you guys to Ronald, but they got a beautiful facility down in Tuskegee, Alabama. I mean, they got places in this facility where they can make their own clothes and all that stuff like that. It was really cool. So you go in this big old room where they rehearse at, huge room. On this side of this room is the control room with a 24 track, whatever they had back then. And then way on the other side of where you rehearse at, that's the vocal booth. So I went into the vocal booth, and I put now first of all, they started they didn't know that they had the talk back button on, and they was laughing at me. So wait a minute. So I can hear them talking. This dude don't even know the lyrics, man. Right? They're laughing at me. And you don't even know the lyrics. I said, "Bro, go ahead and sing one of the songs. Which one I put on?" I forgot. 3 times lady, one of them. And I started singing, Ryan. And by the time I got to the first chorus, they said, "Stop the tape." He said, "Brother, where you from?" I said, "I'm from Oakland, California, but I live in LA." He said, "Sing the second verse." I sang the second verse, and I replaced Lionel Richie for 2 years, traveling the world with these brothers.
Wow. That's such a fantastic story. And it's one of those stories that you can't make this up.
Oh, no. You know why? Because I had a radio show for 3 years, right? And I brought Ronald LaPred on my show, the bass player who wrote Brick House. And he told me, he told the whole world how they picked me. And it was exactly the same. He said, "This young brother gonna be somebody someday." Because I'll never forget, because when I left after 2 years, right, they didn't want to give me a raise, and I'm singing all the Lionel songs, and so they brought this other brother from Heatwave. That's the brother that took my place, right? But I was there the first 2 years, traveling with them, And wait a minute, hold on. I remember when we got to Thailand, they didn't tell Thailand that Lionel wasn't coming, right? So when I got off the plane, they pushed me to the side. Don't talk to the media. Don't talk to the media. And I sang, Beauty and the Beast with this one woman, the background singer. The crazy thing about it, the next morning we at the Deuce Tiny Hotel, and the media is rushing me. Who are you? Because they didn't know, I'm singing Lionel song. I got his clothes on. Okay? And who are you? And the Commodores saw that, and they got pissed at me. It was because, I'm about 8-9 years younger than them brothers, right? And they got a little tripped out that they wasn't rushing in. They were trying to find out who I was, right? But Ronald, the bass player of the Commodores, he always he's like my big brother, right? I lived with him on his ranch down there in Tuskegee, Alabama for 2 years. And I wind up getting a song on that Night Shift album, right? You remember when they had that show? I had a song on that album, but it's crazy. That's life is the way it is, right? And I just go with it. I don't try to, I don't try to stand in the way of myself or obstruct myself, right? I just go look for the good in life and I follow it.
So you stayed with the Commodores for 2 years in
1982 and 1983.
Okay, so where did you leave? Where did you go to after the Commodores?
I went back to California, and
Alabama to California, Alabama to California.
Yeah, I went back to I'm back to California. But then I wind up moving back to the Bay Area where I'm from, right? And then I start working for this guy named Narda Michael Walden, who produced Whitney and all kind of Mariah Carey and all that. So between him and this other guy, Walter Afanasieff, who I used to help arrange and do backgrounds for so many records, 2,500 records, right? And I started doing records after being on stage for so long, and I missed that. So that's why I got to this point where we got Sly back on the stage, and I was able to go back out and start performing again. So it's been a ride, right? But now I'm a songwriter too, so I've written for Al Jarreau and Eddie Murphy and Tevin Campbell and Patty Austin and Lenny Williams, and I've written for a lot of people now, and so I love that part. It's about the content. But even after that, and I got a song out with Kenny G right now, right? Even after that, none of it feels as good as what I'm doing, my movement and my mission right now, and that's music for global change.
Now I'm saving your movement to the end, so I'm gonna go. So I'm gonna go back to when you were doing vocals.
Yeah.
So you were a sought after vocalist, correct?
Well, I worked for two of the biggest producers, and so I had steady work for 19 years, right, of doing records. Yeah.
So studio background, is that right?
That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
And
but at the same time, writing for major artists, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now, tell me about Sly and the Family Stone.
Oh, wow. What a story, right?
Yeah, I'm ready for another. You're a great storyteller. I'm ready for the next story.
Thank you so much. Well, Sly was on radio when I was 10 years old. I'll never forget it because he used to do opposite Wolfman Jack. You remember him?
I remember Wolfman Jack.
Okay, KSOL, that was our radio station. Sly Stone would come on, and Wolfman Jack came right after him. We had some great radio personalities from this funk station, the R&B. Anyway, I feel like what's done it to me was Sly was on the radio one day, and he told everybody, I'm starting my new band. And this one guy was on, he said, man, you crazy, man, you can't sing. I'll never forget that, right? And then the next thing you know, Sly's on everybody's television show, Dick Cavett, everything else. And Sly and the Family Stone. And that funk took over. You know what I love to, because I wasn't doing that music that much. When you listen to Sly Stone's lyrics, like hot fun in the summertime, I want to take you higher, right? I'm everyday people. They're inspirational kind of titles, the lyrics, right? So he was doing that before the conscious vibe I was doing. And when I saw that, hey, Ryan, you know what? I found out if you listen to them songs back then, even the old funk song, the record was over in 3 minutes and 28 seconds.
That was a long song.
That was a long song. It was, because some of them Sly songs were 2 minutes and something. They wasn't even 3 minutes yet, right? But they were so infectious. You start singing with them, and then now you're infected. You got to go buy the record. I missed the experience of going to a record store and buying a record. That was fun for me, right? Because and they knew that too, because they know you go in the store and you'll buy something else if they get you in the store. But right, this whole thing has been wonderful for me. But so anyway, I I'm playing this gig with Sly Stone's original drummer and sax player. And guess who the gig was for? Kamala Harris.
No.
When she became district attorney of San Francisco, a buddy of mine gave her a party at this club called Bimbo's. Well, Sly Stone's sister and I was singing background, right? And now she's the godmother of my child. But at the same time, man, I told her, I said, why don't we put a band together and go out and do Sly Stone songs? People will start drinking, and nobody can sound like them. But if we start doing the songs, everybody else will start singing along with us. You know what I mean? And they'll have a good time. And that's exactly what happened. So I put together a few bands, and she said, I bet you I can get Sly to come back out. I said, really? So a friend of mine gave me this book called Polestar. And in Polestar, that's the directory for if you want to find any artist, go to Polestar. You'll find their manager, agent, PR person, whatever. I got that book and I opened the book and said that I have Sly Stone cover band with his blood family. That's how I pitched it. And we started getting gigs. I couldn't get 4,000 for us the first time, then moved up to 10,000, moved up to 15,000. Then I got us to Amsterdam, got 25,000. Then next thing you know, Sly started hearing about us. And we played in Vegas, and I'm at the airport. I'm sitting next to Vet, and he goes, I can hear him go, you guys getting serious out there doing my music, huh? She said, yeah, you ought to come on back out with us. You come on. I'll never forget that, right? And here's the crazy thing that happened. A friend of mine who's written for Whitney and all kind of people, he called me up and said, Skyler, I got these two guys, and they want to do a film about Sly Stone. Can you hook them up? I said, well, I can introduce them to the family and stuff like that. So these guys got on, two white guys, and I said, but if I get you to Sly, you got to do something for me. I said, what? Get us a gig in L.A. They not only got us a gig in L.A., Ryan, this is true. There's a movie out. They went and got signs, made some signs, if you love Sly, honk, and they start packing the streets, right? And told everybody that we're going to be playing up on Sunset Boulevard, right? At the Knitting Factory. Well, this is what happened. We go down, we rehearse like crazy back in Oakland, and now we go down to LA to play Hollywood, and Vet goes, that's Sly's sister, she goes, I'm gonna bring my brother to the gig. Now we super excited, right? You're like, whoa, this is gonna be off. We're playing his music in Hollywood, and she's bringing him to the gig, right? And sure enough, we got him there. They're on a three-wheeler bike. And Vet told me when they left the house, he said, I don't like what you're wearing. So he took her to a place and bought her some clothes. Okay? So we get there, and we're about to go on stage. And it's like a theater kind of thing. So we had Sly sitting up here, but we had this big curtain right here where nobody could see him if you stand down on the floor. So he's overlooking the stage while we're going to perform. And I know these are a lot of kids, a lot of white kids, and they don't even know what Sly is, but they bought his records and, okay. So I took my phone out. I said, you know what? I'm calling Sly right now. Tell him how much you love him. And I stuck my phone out there, and they start, and he's looking at it. He's over here looking at it, right? We kicked so much butt that night, Ryan. The next day, Sly called Vet up and said, I think I'm ready to go. I think I'm ready to go, come out. She calls me up. She says, Skyler, you got us this far. Took you 7 years. What you gonna do? This is a true story, Ryan. I called a friend of mine. I used to have a record label doing all original wedding songs, right? I called my buddy. I said, man, I gotta find a PR person fast. Oh man. He said, Skyler, I might have your guy. What? He said, I was in New York, man, at this party for this record company, and Sting was there. And he said, man, check it out. This guy came over to me. He's a PR person. He said, hey, man, check it out. If I get over by Sting, can you take a picture of us? He said, no problem. So he took a picture of him. And he goes, man, I'm for Aerosmith. I'm the PR person for Aerosmith. He said, but I got this guy, man, over in Florida. He's goo goo gaga about Sly Stone, right? I said, let me talk to him. So I got on the phone with this dude. He said, can you verify that you got Sly Stone? I said, yeah. So I put Sly Stone's sister on the phone. 2 months later, we were playing at Disney. Okay? In Hollywood. will.i.am, all of them. Everybody in LA was in the audience. But nobody thought that Sly would show up. You know what's crazy, Ryan? Because we did 4 songs before he came out. But Sly I saw him behind the curtain over here. Now the audience couldn't see, but he over here, right? It messed me up, Ryan. When he finally came out, there was people crying, girl. They were crying. They were so happy just to see him, right? It blew me away. And so right after that, Wayne Wallace. You know Wayne Wallace?
No.
The comedian in L.A. Used to be on Hollywood Squares and George Wallace.
Okay.
You know George? Okay. George Wallace called us and tell us to come on his show in Las Vegas. And I took Sly there. We did that show. And then the next day, that agent called me back saying, I got 11 more gigs for you in Europe. You guys ready to go? And we went. 207. I took Sly out for 13 gigs. I got him every stage. The jazz festivals, everything all through Europe, right? And so, what a life, right? For a single parent child.
But tell me, what was it that was so difficult to get Sly back into the business?
Well, he had a manager for 40 years, but I don't know, maybe Sly wasn't ready to go yet or whatever. But after he seen that show we did, he said, let's go. And I made sure that's what happened.
And he performed?
All 13 times.
All 13 times. What? That's an exciting story. Are there any videos of any of those shows?
Yeah, go on YouTube. There's something, Sly 207 tour, right?
Sly 207 tour.
Yeah. You know, that was the year 207. All the gigs we did was that.
And
but then
Europe was very receptive to him, weren't they?
Oh, are you kidding? Well, every place was packed out. We played the Love Fest. It's in Hackney, London, right? And the B-52s and Blondie opened for us, right? It was 50,000 people out there. Every place we was playing, 18 to 30, up in Norway, everywhere. Every place we played, Italy, it was all, yeah. I made all those calls. It took me 7 years to get that to happen.
So, that's something that you're very proud of, and you should be.
Well, I tell you why. I've taken Sly on the stage 13 times. I've never had a conversation with him like you and I have right now.
Really?
Yeah. I've been on stage with him 13 times. Singing as close as I am to my computer. Never had a conversation with him.
He was a very unique individual, I'm presuming.
He is. He's nocturnal. I know that. Like, nobody could find him. And what he would do is he had a three-wheeler. He had a three-wheeler motorcycle. So at night, he'd ride his motorcycle all up Sunset Boulevard, Hollywood Boulevard, and nobody wouldn't know it's him.
But he really wasn't communicative. He didn't like to talk. Yeah,
but you know what? Here's the thing. Vet brought me some music that Sly has written in the last few years. And Ryan, he's still way ahead of everybody else. He's still on another planet. The way he crafts lyrical content, all that, it's amazing, right? I got to tell you the story real quick about the first time he came to rehearsal with us, though, right? So here he comes to rehearsal. Now he had this beautiful. Me and his sister found him this beautiful piece of property in Napa Valley in the wine country, and it had a beautiful house, swimming pool, and then we had a big old barn that we turned into a place for rehearsals, right? But it's on the property. We way out in the country, so nobody can hear us. Anyway, he shows up at rehearsal one day, and everybody's so excited to see him because we've been rehearsing his music, and we always wanted him to show up and see that we got his music down. He sat down and we started playing. He go, hold on. And we thought we was about to lose our job. Right. He go, y'all playing the funk too fast. You got to slow it down. He said the funk is in the holes in the music, right? So we slowed it down and played, and sure enough, he was right. We slowed them same song, dumped it down a little bit. We so hyped to play for him that everything kind of sped up a little bit, right? Because we so hyped. But then right after that, he said, I want to, this is the strangest request I've ever had in my 54 years of music. He said, I want everybody to go to the wall and put your backs on the wall. And I want you to close your eyes. That's what Sly said to all of us. We closed our eyes. He said, you ever notice how Ray Charles, he uses his left foot, his left leg. He said, that's where the funk is at. So I'm going, here it is, everybody studying you. You studied Ray Charles. Because he had that funk in the left foot, right? It was really beautiful to witness something like that, right?
Wow, fascinating. Now, okay, so we took it. So here we are. We're at 2007.
Yeah.
You're finishing up your gig with Sly.
Yeah.
Then where do you go, Skyler? What's next? What's next for Skyler?
Well, I went back to making records, and then I wind up getting on the #1 theme song for a film of all time. That was My Heart Will Go On with Celine Dion, right?
Yeah.
Then I did a song with this guy from London. Oh God. It's Not Unusual. God, what is his name? Tom Jones.
Oh.
Right?
Right.
And then one with Barbra Streisand. Right? And then wait a minute. Then I did the Bodyguard. I'm Every Woman. Right? And it just, I started getting on all these songs with kind of older acts too. It's really cool. But I mean, they're icons, every one of them. And you know, after Sly, for me, because I recognized his lyrics were positive, right? And I bit the bug on that. I said, you know what? All these young brothers get killed out here. Ain't nobody writing no music to save them. We got to write some music to save these brothers, right? And I know how powerful music is. And because of Marvin Gaye and John Lennon, Bob Marley, Curtis Mayfield, they wrote songs that wasn't about themselves. They wrote about the struggle. And I go, how come people are not doing those songs? And it found out because it's not popular to do songs that's going to change us and help us, right? So I said, you got to find something in life to do that's going to change people's life. And so we created Music for Global Change. And it turned out to be right of me thinking about, I got to find another way to make money now. Maybe I'll just write songs for foundations, theme songs for foundations. I want to help people that's helping other people.
Now, Skyler, how did you end up living in England?
I married a Brit.
Simple answer.
Yeah. And the best thing that ever happened to me in my life 16 years ago. And she lives in the States with me for 12 years, right? And all my kids are grown. And she said, baby, let's take our kid. And I like for him to go to school in England. And I said, why not? All my other kids are grown. I got 9 grandkids, right? And I miss them all. And I can't wait till this COVID thing is over. But at the same time, it's really wonderful because I get to travel. Like Paris from here is 35 minutes. You know, I could fly to Paris in 35 minutes. I could fly to Belfast, Scotland, where I now am part owner of a event company, right? We do magazines, all kind of stuff like that for events. But I've been working in Portugal, Switzerland, Amsterdam. I got a new song out with a brother from Ghana, right? I work in Rwanda. You know, I did the States. You can have it. You can have them now. I seen mostly all of them. I'm ready. You know, at my age, I want to go see everything I can, Ryan. And I want to tell you this because it's really important to me. 2 days before I left to move to England, a friend of mine said, Skyler, I got to take you out on my boat. And I said, okay. But I didn't think it was going to really, I'm coming by 10 o'clock. Okay. So he took me out on his boat and he took me right under the Golden Gate Bridge and he turned the motor off. And he said, Skyler, I brought you out here to tell you that my brother died 2 days ago. And it's something he wanted me to say to you. He said, I got all the money I could ever have. But I asked God, I said, God, I would give you all this money back if you just let me go see all the things that I haven't seen yet. That did something to me. I want to go see all the things, all the waterfalls, everything that I can see, meet as many people as I can, spread as much love as I can, right? That it meant a lot to me that he said that. Money ain't everything.
I agree with you on that. So now let's talk about your new project that you've been working on. You have alluded to it on the globe. I've had to keep you. Now you can go full force into your project about how and listen to some of your songs that you did, and your topics that you have, and then the music that goes with them. And I believe, and I really do believe this, Skyler, that there's a market for this. And today we are witnessing songs that are having revival, inner city blues, What's Going On,
Mercy, Mercy. Yeah.
Mercy, 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 Runaway Child, Running Wild. All of these songs, People Get Ready, all of this music is, and even though this is not really funk related, but one of the artists that was so focused on the times, and that was always Nina Simone. Nina Simone
yes.
is, when it talks about music of the times, of the sentiment, she was always there. And I think that there's a resurgence. And, you hear about Lamar Webster, who's trying to do something in that area. But it's different from when it comes from a Skyler, because Skyler has those experiences that brings to the songwriting, which translates into the music, and which translates to the mind and the heart.
Oh, blessings. Well, like I said, when I got out of Sly, and I start seeing all these brothers just dying, you know, and everybody's talking about themselves or what they wearing, who they in love with, who they made love with. I'm watching everybody writing tunes like that, and I go, these people are talented. What if they started singing about things that would heal us and educate us and things that would solve problems, but use the same music, any kind of music you want, funk, whatever, right? But have the lyrics where they can. So I've written for women's empowerment. I've written for cancer survivors, the environment, you know, and homelessness and stuff like that. And I find that it's way more I ain't made no money at it, but it's way more rewarding when you could touch somebody with your music and maybe, you know, enhance it or help them live longer, you know? So I started Music for Global Change. And that's to open up the whole paradigm, because I see music as 12 notes. And it doesn't matter what kind of genre it is, or, you know, rock and roll, R&B, it's still the same 12 notes. And I found through my travels that no matter where I went, there was always music, Ryan. You know, Ryan, if I get to a country where they can't speak English, and I'm the immigrant, you know what I mean? They'll go, "What do you do?" I say, "I play music." They will always take me to somebody that they know plays music, and I'll always find somebody that speaks English. No matter what country I've been to, right? Matter of fact, in Rwanda, I headlined in Rwanda in 2016 for a festival of 3 days. And when I got off the stage, the media rushed me. And they said, "Brother, thank you, man. Thank you for coming here and singing about ways we can help each other." Because you have all these guys come over here from different places. They always talking about themselves, and they got their pants all hanging down and cussing and all that. And here you are trying to help us. God bless you, brother. And I know I'm on the right track.
You know, that while we're talking about this, and I want to move to you alluded to it earlier when we started talking about the importance of funk music and what the funk means to you. And I also need to ask you, why do you think it's important that we do have a Funk Music Hall of Fame and Exhibition Center? Why do you think that's important, Skyler?
Because someone had to create this style of music. And when they did, people fell in love with it. Okay? And so that's what I'm saying. Like, you know, a few years back, they was trying to get rid of, at the Grammys, trying to get rid of Latin jazz and all, you know, what's that Zydeco music and all this stuff like that. They're forms of music, you know? And if you love it, why are you interested in messing it up, right? So listen, people from the 70s, okay, look at it like this. People our age don't have outlets, although nowhere to play right now. But the kids, they go out and listen to their music, whatever they call it, right? But for people our age, anywhere from the 60s and 70s on up, you put that music on for a young person that never heard it before, and they go, "Whoa, what is that?" Okay? So it crosses all barriers. You know what's beautiful? My daughter's 37 now, but I remember when she was about 6 years old, and I played her Motown. And she goes, "Dad, Dad, that's jamming. What is that new?" No. This came out a long time. If you don't tell them it's old, let them fall in love with it, right? Don't call it old, call it classic soul. You know what I mean? If you don't say old to kids, they don't know. But if they like it, that's the most important thing, ain't it?
It really is.
If it resonates with you and it's beautiful, who cares? That's why I tell a lot of my friends on their records, never put the dates on your records. There's 7 billion people on the planet. Somebody ain't heard it.
That's a fact. That's a fact. And you know, as we talk about this, Skyler, and you know, it's just fascinating your journey through the music industry to where you are today, and you're not done. And that's the beauty of music. And I also, as we started out, folks may not have recognized, but in back of you are the congas. And so let's talk a little bit about the congas as an instrument and how important it is, because to our history.
I did a record with a brother named Tito Sampa, and he's from Congo, Africa, right? And I'll never forget this guy, he's a white guy. He said, man, you got to get on this record with this guy from Africa. And I said, cool. And he goes, Skyler, this dude he cuts down trees and makes his own drums. I say, cool. I want to be on the record with this brother right here, right? But Ryan, he got this like Yodo. He's a short guy, but he got this like Yodo. The pictures on the wall will start moving. It's so loud, right? And he said, I want you. The record's called Mbungi, which means the learning circle. And he says, what it is, I said, want to bring me to Congo. He said, I'll tell you why I want. He said, because Skyler, what we do in our village, we take care of each other. The men get up in the morning and they go hunting. They bring it back, butcher the meat, and the women start preparing the meal. Then we have dinner together. After we have dinner together in our village, we have the learning circles where we converse about things that we can make better in the community, our little government, whatever it is. Then he says, after that, we all play music, go make love, and get up in the morning and do the same thing. There was never any money passed. So he went to go sing this song with me, and he went up to the microphone, and the brother started crying. I said, Tito's, what's wrong, man? He said, man, I've noticed in your country, man, nobody moves unless you pass some money to them. Nobody just does things for each other out of the human heart, right? And he said that drum, the Congo, right there in back of me, he said, that's from my country. And the drum was the first telephone. So we get up on a mountain with them drums, and the next village over, we could tell the lions is coming in your direction. Okay? It's the telephone. He said, but when it got to Latin America, they took the O off and put an A and called it a conga. So you got salsa from conga. All of it's been made from this drum right here, right? I want to go back and say one more thing about Oakland before and how we got there, okay? My grandmother is from Africa. She was from Africa on that side. Well, her people was from Africa. But my grandfather in Mississippi, and we're talking Biloxi, Mississippi. That's where the Choctaw American Indian was from. So my grandfather is French and Choctaw Indian. His great-grandfather was the slave owners of my grandmother's people. Okay? He married my grandmother. He was 19 years old, this white man. My grandmother was 13 years old. Now, they wanted to kill him because they was together. So he used to tell my grandmother, meet me down here by the river, something like that. That's how they could get together. Now, my grandfather at that time, he was a great swimmer and made his own knives and everything else, nets, being an Indian. So in those days, they had the river boats on Mississippi, right? On the Mississippi. But what happens is they didn't have very good lighting on the boats. So people would get drunk and they'd fall over. And as you know, the Mississippi is wide. So if you out there by yourself trying to swim and boats is coming at you, it's not good, right? So somebody would die and they would take my grandfather out in a little boat. And my grandfather's job was to dive in there and pull the body out of the water. So he said, I can do better than this. And he found out about Oakland, California. Oakland, California at that time was the 3rd largest port in America. So everything that comes from Asia comes through Oakland. They put them on trains and they send them to the east. Everything from Europe comes through New York and all those areas, and they cross like that. Next thing you know, my grandfather goes to Oakland, and you ain't got to be educated to pull boxes off those ships, right? So he started getting in with all the black people. And the white guys, what's wrong with that dude talking to them black people? What's wrong with him, right? So my grandfather, he became really good friends with all the black folks right down there. And he bought some property for $3,000 right in the ghetto, a white man. And my grandfather started building a barbershop right underneath the house, right? Now, he been under there. He been knocking on for 3 years. And he went back. He went because of black folks, everybody black said, sir, come on, you white. You ain't got to live down here. Why you want to live down here with us? My grandfather wouldn't tell him that he married to a black woman. So he went and brought the family out. They go, oh, wait a minute, whoa, right? And the cool thing is this, though. My grandfather built that barbershop underneath the house. He used to cut all the Black Panthers' hair. The Bubble Naturals.
Yeah.
Huey Newton went to school with my sister. He used to cut all their hair. White man. He had the best barbershop in the ghetto. Okay? So that's on my my mother's side. On my father's side, they were from Arkansas. And his wife, my grandmother, was Cherokee Indian and Scottish, right? And my grandfather, on my father's side, his grandfather was from Ethiopia. So these are two interracial couples, 1910, okay? Unheard of in the South, right? And they lived through all that. So when people start talking racism to me, they never taught us that. They say that's crazy. And they were married over 60 years, right? If they can get along, everybody else can get along too. Love is love.
Love is love. You know, Skyler, I just want to thank you so much for you taking time out to share your stories and your experiences, and that we wish you the very best. And I want to give the quote that you abide by Alice Walker. Activism is the rent I pay for living on this planet. Thank you, Skyler, so very much.
All right, us, really beautiful to meet you. It's really beautiful to talk to somebody at home. All you guys, I mean, thank you so much, okay? It's really beautiful for you to invite me.
David Webb is very appreciative of you taking your time to do this. So this is Rhine McLin, host of the Funk Music Hall of Fame and Exhibition Center's award-winning show, Funk Chronicles. Until the next time, keep it funky, funky, funky.
That's right. That's right.
Look at that smile, look at those eyes, so full of innocence and surprise, touching my heart. Abinda za mu yi mu hada zumunci mu daina gulma kawai a dangana. Masallacin kura baba kare limancin baka sani baka tambaya.